Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. With over 1,000 NCAA commitments, the EHL is the proven path to college. Turn it up and learn more about the college placement leader at the Division II and III levels.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Penalty Box Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto: we take care of our own, as they help out all of those within the hockey community who've experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at penaltyboxfoundation.org. What's up? My name is Neil Ravin, and this is episode number 68 of the E-Show. On this week's episode, we feature another organization with a very strong history of success throughout their time in the EHL. The East Coast Wizards entered the league in its second season, 2014-15, and over the course of time took strides forward in each and every new campaign. While the Wizards have showcased a handful of slow starts in recent years, they've also established themselves as a team that gets better as each season progresses, developing into a matchup that you don't want to draw in the postseason. To wrap up the episode, the E-Crew creates another all-time lineup and includes a pair of former stars with an EHL MVP and an EHL Rookie of the Year. I'm joined now by Corey Felide, the head coach and general manager of the East Coast Wizards. How's it going, Corey?
Good, Neil. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well, and thanks for coming on. This is already two more times than Freddie Meyer ever came on the podcast. We will remind him of that every time I get the chance to do so. But, of course, you were the assistant for Freddie for 4 seasons. Now coming off your first season as the head coach. When you look back on your first season, what are your major takeaways?
Well, this year was obviously a long year for everybody. It was successful in my eyes, both for us and for the league. I think we did a great job as a league adjusting to the times so the kids could get seen as much as they did. And have as many eyeballs on them as possible throughout the weird time, so to speak. And, you know, we as a league, we got in 36 plus games plus playoffs, and I think it was a huge success. And it was long, a lot of schedule changes for us. But, you know, I would give a huge thanks to the kids for battling through the rules every day. And you know, we're glad it's over and we can move on to more normalcy, let's just call it. But no, it was nice. It was obviously I've been here this was my 5th year with the team, and I was with Freddie for 4 years, and I try to run it very similar to him. I thought he did a great job, and I learned a lot from him, and I run it very similar, and it was an easy transition, I would say. It was just like we talked about, difficult year with COVID.
I'm sure not the season that you wanted to be because of that. And one thing that I always say in talking about the different rinks throughout the league is the Edge Sports Center and the setup that you guys have there is almost second to none in our league. But with all the different guidelines and restrictions and whatnot that came forth this past season, you weren't really able to use it to its full capacity, in that sometimes you had to get dressed outside or get dressed in the corner of the rink. How often did you have to have meetings with players to kind of put them at ease and say, I know this is not what you want it to be, but we have to follow these restrictions the way they're laid out?
Well, I think that was one of the more difficult parts for the guys, because like you said, we love our facility, and we had a great group of kids that loved hanging out together, and they did so in the early beginning of the season when we could, and you know, it's a nice place to come play and call a home. But then right around October, when they shut us down and came back to the new rules where we couldn't use locker rooms or showers, you know, it was frustrating because we do a lot of individual video in our office, and, you know, you'd have to kind of adapt with the times, and not a lot of that stuff got done. And, you know, you're showing up to the rink 15 minutes before sessions and 20 minutes before on ice games. The biggest thing you tell them is the other team's doing it too. You know, you're not the only ones, you know, and I guess more importantly, I just kept reiterating to them, you're being seen. You're being seen. You're here to play hockey. You're here to be seen on video for some schools that couldn't recruit in person. And for the schools that could, they're there watching. They don't know that you got dressed in the snow outside in the parking lot. They don't know that. They don't care. What are you doing on the ice? So you got to put on your big boy pants, so to speak, and kind of work through it. Although it was frustrating for everybody, but we all dealt with it. And so, at the end of the day, you're playing hockey and you're being seen. So that was my message.
And the locker room stuff kind of changed as the season went on, and eventually became what it was for the whole year. And the same can be said for your schedule. We had to move the Chiefs into Massachusetts, which then gave you guys 7 teams, including yourself, to play in the state of Massachusetts. Obviously, that was more than any other state in our league. So you had a few more opponents than usual. But was it at all challenging playing the same 6 teams over and over and over again?
Challenging, no, because again, we're playing. I mean, you're playing hockey, so whoever, it doesn't matter. I mean, you look at it like we only get 6 teams to play. I looked at it like the Vermont and New Hampshire, we're playing 3 teams. So
Yes.
what are they saying, right? But you did see a little bit more rivalry, a little bit more physicality, I think, through the season, and some guys got frustrated with each other as you'd expect, just like what's going on in the NHL right now. It's some series, and that, I guess that's really the only difference. But at the end of the day, like, you're playing hockey. We're here in this league so these kids can be seen as much as possible. And it doesn't matter who we're playing. Yeah, it's frustrating. We can't go across the border, but it is what it is at this point. What do we got to do? How do we got to get out there? And, I know I personally changed our schedule about 12 times. And when the 12th time was done, the 13th time I thought was right around the corner. It never came. So,
Yeah.
But it's just, you got to figure it out. I think there was a few different occasions throughout the year where you're getting ready to play X team on Friday. It's Wednesday. They give you a call. We're shut down for 2 weeks. All right, we got Friday open. Who else has Friday open? Right. And you just kind of figure it out. I think we as a league did a really good job with that.
Yeah. So for this next question, it's kind of a 2-part question, because I want to ask the tougher version first and then the better version second, because there is a good and a bad to this. One topic that we always talk about on this podcast, and I think it is pretty well known, is for some strange reason, the Wizards are kind of notoriously slow starters, but then they pick things up as the second half progresses. So let's talk about the first half first. Do you guys look at the first half as a chance to get more guys in the lineup, and maybe sometimes that leads to different results?
Yeah, potentially. I think we give maybe more of a chance to, I guess, to some guys that potentially wouldn't. We only have 1 team here too, so we're a little bit different in that respect. But again, yeah, in the beginning of the year, I might have guys, if you're not on the power play, you might be playing penalty kill and just kind of giving you a role and trying to figure out where you fit in. And obviously, I look at the first few months as you're building your portfolio, and then we get into December and we start to know where guys can fit in and play at a better clip, let's say. But yeah, I think, we're rolling goalies in the beginning, we're rolling lines where we have probably 3 power plays at points in the fall. We're giving guys shots and let them die on the sword or rise above, right? And obviously you add a couple players here or there, and sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss. But our goal is all, and from Freddie on, has always been to try to have that track. I mean, we have Adrian here, our strength coach, full time, that I think is huge, to a huge asset for us. Along with, again, we didn't get much of it this year. We do a lot of video individually, and our track is to try to get better. Obviously, we don't want to suck in the beginning, but I mean, we want to get better as the season goes. And
yeah,
so.
But similar to Freddie, and right on cue with every year with the Wizards, the calendar year turns and something clicks where you win 5 straight almost out of the gate. 7 out of 8. There were wins over the Rangers and the Express down the stretch. And every year, the Wizards become this team that you hear from everybody else in the league that you don't want to be the team that matches up with them in the playoffs. Do you guys take pride in that?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And we take pride. I want guys too that are going to have a passion for showing up to the rink every day. And if you don't have that, you have no hope for a kid to get better. Right. And if they love coming to the rink every day in February, you have 20 guys, 25 guys that love to come to the rink to work. And on the other side, you got some guys feeling away. Like, it's going to be a better path. Let's just say, you never want to be bad in the beginning, right? You don't. It's just somehow it's worked itself out. Like going into break this year, I think we lost probably 8 or 9, but I think they were all mixed in by a goal. Every game we were missing a goal or a save. And I said it at one point, we're missing a goal or a save every single game. It was frustrating, but I think the break was good for us. We knew we were very close, and that's the thing. You just gotta try to stay above water and just let the guys know how close they were. And they knew. It was just frustrating at times, but they kind of figured it out. And once one win happens, you start to get a little confidence, and then it builds from there.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, we couldn't buy a win going into break this year. So,
but talking about this year's roster, let's go back again, because it was such a unique season in that you were able to bring in a few guys that you may not have in a normal year. You had guys on the back end like Matt Fusco, Nick Delaire, Pete Frates, and then obviously a forward that you brought in was Connor Blanchard, guys that may have played more prep than junior in a normal season. But when you add them into your lineup, what kind of spark did they give you?
I think, the guys in the back end with Fusco and Delaire and Frates, there was a time when part of those 8 or 9 losses going into break, I mean, we had a week and a half span where we lost 4 defensemen within a week and a half, and they were out like for months on end. So these guys all played for my U18 team in the past, and I've coached them for years, and it worked out perfect where they weren't playing much, and we grabbed them, and they helped out big time. I mean, it was huge. Nick Delaire is coming back with us next year, and they were a huge add offensively. Connor came in and gave us, at that time we were struggling to score some goals and figure out how to score goals. He gave us a little bit more an offensive punch, so to speak, to help us that way. So it was a good get to add those 4 for sure, even if they were kind of spotty.
And it made what was already one of the younger teams in the league a little bit younger over the course of the season. But that's not to take away from the 2000s that you did have, because there were a good handful on your roster. And let's look no further than this year's defenseman of the year in Jack Johansson. And I want to touch on him for a second, because he was supposed to go to college, but obviously with the way that everything transpired, you had the chance to bring him back and put the C on his chest. To have a guy like that return, obviously an unfortunate circumstance as to why, but to have a guy like that return, how beneficial was that to you?
Oh, he was great to have this year. He was obviously last year we got him from the EHLP the year before, where he won Defenseman of the Year, I believe.
Yep.
That league, and moved his way up. And when he called me, and I think it was we were skating together all summer, and in August he called and said he thinks he wanted to come back because they weren't going to play, which obviously was huge for us. He was voted unanimous captain. Him and Brent Valentine, those two were on everybody's list pretty much. And he did a great job. I mean, he just quiet, did his thing every day. He was phenomenal to have in the locker room and on the ice when we needed a spark. I didn't need to say anything on the bench. He was on the guys, and he was a great leader to have returned, as a surprise late ad. So, and
you're obviously going to have a huge void to fill with him, but also a guy that he played a lot of minutes with, and Zach Papapetros, who ended his junior career as the all-time assist leader in Wizards history with 54. Can you touch on how the two of them gelled so well together, and how you even begin to try and replace that pairing?
Jack would tell you that half of Zach's assists were phantoms, and vice versa. No, those, yeah. And Zach was supposed to go to Canada this year, to a higher league, quote unquote, and he couldn't get across the border, as you know. And he was another fortunate one that we still didn't really know late on that I thought I might get because I thought I knew what was going on the board, what was happening, and he exhausted all his options, and it wound up working out really well for him, being a leader back on our back end. And, he's going to Castleton, so things worked out for him. So I'm happy for those two.
And one other 2000 that I want to touch on is such an awesome story because you guys had his brother there back when you were an assistant coach. That was Chase Davenport. The 2000 that was on your team this past season was Keith Davenport. And I didn't even know this when I first started calling games at the start of the year. I didn't really know what he was going through. Can you kind of take us through briefly the timeline of what he was going through? And can you finish it off by telling us telling the whole podcast what you told me, the news that you got after the very first game of the playoffs?
Yeah, I just talked about it actually this morning with somebody. I had a group last summer that was skating at the edge, and at the end of the summer in August, he always had something that was bothering him in his leg, and he finally went and he's trying to work itself out. And he's a kid that will push through anything, and he's got when he gets focused, and especially with hockey, it's just a small little pain. It's a small little pain. He'll be fine. And finally went to the doctor, and when they told him he had cancer, it was obviously he sat down in my office, and it's one of the hardest conversations I've had as a coach with a 19, 20-year-old kid. Like, what do you tell him? So, we had our conversation. I'll keep it private. And he from day one was, I'm getting through it. They found out that he didn't have to do chemo. He just had to go for certain treatments, which he could still play as long as he could go through the pain. And, the only thing he missed is after the first treatment, he couldn't walk the next day. And then he was at practice the following day. And, he just cruised through it all year. And he was a kid that, talk about the team, like he was a kid that in the beginning, obviously he was going through that. He was coming through a situation in prep school where I think he thinks he should have got more of an opportunity on the ice. And I think you could see as the year went on, his confidence grow and him becoming a bigger part of the team. And, after the first round of playoffs, we lost first game of the first round, we lost. And, the best news of the day was he called me and said he was cancer free because he had to miss the first game of the playoffs because he had to go for an appointment.
Yeah.
And so he went cancer free, and then the next game we won, which was great. And, it was just a great story for him to be able to come back. He committed to college. He's going to Nazareth. He's playing there next year. And I think he ended with 19 or 20 points in 26 games. And I would say the first 6 or 7 games, he probably had 1 or 2 points. So you could probably say he was a point a game for the final 20 games of the season, right around there. I mean, he was a little spark for the team all year. It was great.
And he scored in that game after finding out that he was cancer free. He scored in that playoff game. And to your point, that he had a 10-game point streak in there, finished total playoffs and regular season 21 points in 28 games. As you mentioned, he committed to Nazareth. You're proud as an organization of every kid that comes through and commits while he plays for the East Coast Wizards. But when you see a kid that's going through what he's going through off the ice, to have that success on the ice, is there a little extra, I'm really just that much more ecstatic for that young man?
Yeah, that's what the springtime, or when a kid commits to go somewhere that he wants to, or a kid tells you that, you had a great experience, and that we've had kids say that they essentially was going to quit hockey and they enjoy hockey again. Like that's really cool to hear, Andrew Steffer is another one. He came 2 years ago from high school who didn't even use pucks in practice, for Christ's sake. He didn't know what a blue line was, and he led the team in scoring this year. He's off to college, and he's a kid that has sky's the limit because he's in my eyes, he's played like 2 years of real hockey,
Yeah.
and he's really a really good player. So we're happy for guys like those type of stories.
And then let's turn the page here with one of the final questions, because as I mentioned earlier, it was kind of a younger team for you. You didn't have that many 2000s compared to some other teams in the league. How quickly do you guys have the conversations with guys like Ryan Webb and Cole Scott and Andrew Cole? You obviously already mentioned Nick Dallaire is coming back. The kids that are eligible to come back, how quickly do you have that conversation with them about returning next season?
Well, we've had them a while ago. Every kid's different. We're gonna have, unlike years past, I think, like you said, we were really young, and I'm not afraid to take younger guys. Normally you have more of a turnover than we had. We have 10, 12 guys returning this year, which will be great for us. Last year we only returned 5. But I think it was because we were younger and guys knew that and accepted that this year is a lot different than years past in terms of there's not a lot of spots available in schools, and even with that said, we as a league did a great job this year. Still, I think we had 140 something commits as a league, right?
Still climbing, right?
Yeah, and still climbing, right? So we, even with that, we've moved guys on, but I mean, I could go down the list of guys, your CT Johnsons of the world of our team that they deserve a spot in Division III that might not get it because there's such an influx of players out there right now because of what just happened. So
So for one final question before I bring in Brittany and Jeff to create the all-time Wizards lineup, because we've already done the Rangers and the Little Flyers so far. The obvious names are going to stand out for us: the Dylan Struetts, the Devin Panzikas. Is there another forward or defenseman in history, or even goalie, that really stands out to you throughout your time that belongs on the all-time Wizards lineup?
Who'd you say? Schwett, Panzika?
Well, those are the obvious guys, right?
Yeah.
Those are.
Well, you got to have Glenn Wiswell. He's there for 3 years. He's a point leader. Forward wise, Darby comes to mind. Harley comes to mind. Chance Gorman, of course. And Trent Pitzer. He was more of a grinder type as opposed to your skill flashy guy. But I mean, there's a bunch of them. Who else am I missing? You could throw Steffer up there. Steffer had 70 something points, didn't he? In 2 years, so you could put him up there.
So all great names for us to consider. I know I'm going to try and do a little bit of a comparison between the D pair that was Luke Pepin and Mike Birmingham to the D pair that was Jack Johansson and Zach Papapetros. I know 4 totally different guys, but they had a kind of gel between each pair that I'll never forget.
Yeah, they're I would say, Birmingham, Papa Petrus, and Gorman. I mean,
Johansson.
Sorry, what's his name?
Johansson or Pepin.
Pepin. Yeah, I'm thinking of Chance Gorman. So Pepin, Papa, and Birmingham are all very similar players, I think.
Yeah.
They're all very offensive defensemen, great skaters. Not that Jack isn't. Jack's bigger, stronger. I would say that all 4 of them are probably top 4 that I would have on my list my 5 years that I've been here. Obviously they put up points, but all of those guys could play 30 plus minutes if you wanted to, and they wouldn't get tired.
And have a good time doing so, for sure.
Right.
So thanks for coming on the podcast. Obviously, it sounds like you guys are deep in the recruiting already for the 21-22 season. So when you get a chance, enjoy the off season.
Thanks, Neil. You too.
Thanks again to Corey Felide for coming on the podcast this week. Corey gearing up for his second season as the head coach of the East Coast Wizards. Of course, spent a lot of time as the assistant coach under Freddie Meyer. I'll say it. We still have never had Freddie Meyer on this podcast. I'm guessing I probably never will, unless I pay him to come on, probably.
Ooh.
But with
what? That could be a welcome thing, Neil. We could pay for Freddie to get on. I would open up my wallet to have Freddie Meyer on.
Yes, exactly. So let's welcome in the E crew now, and Jeff and Brittany. The East Coast Wizards. It's time for the all-time East Coast Wizards lineup. And this is no offense to you guys, but like I should be able to do this one on my own. I should.
Well, yeah, because you're a closeted but not closeted Wizards fan.
I mean, everyone at home knows, because I'm sure everyone that's listening has watched a Wizards game in the past. Before this season, Neil Ravin, just in case those new people that are listening to the E Show this week, before this year, it was 4 straight years that you hadn't missed a game?
The
play-by-play?
The 2016-17 season, my first year with them, I was just scorekeeping. So then 17-18, 18-19, 19-20. This was going into the 4th year when you stepped in for 3 or 4 games.
4?
Oh,
it was supposed to be 4, but then the car decided, hey, I don't want to get to the edge today, and that one didn't make it. So,
oh god! But I think they were winless in the first 2, right?
Yep. And I looked at Corey and I was like, "Are you guys sure you want me to come back?" He's like, "Yeah, Jefferson, we like you, but like, what the hell?" And then Jack Johansson, Jack Joe, Brittany's favorite, everyone's favorite. Hey, how are you? He was giving me some guff, and he was like, But hey, they broke the schneid, and I'm pretty sure I think they were 1-3 when I was there this year. Hope for better times next year.
It's better. It's better than 0-4, right?
This is true. 1 W is better than none.
The funny thing about the East Coast Wizards, I touched on it with Corey Felide, is they're a program that we've mentioned on this podcast. They always start slow. It is their thing. They start slow in September, but then they get better as the season goes on. And they're a team that you don't want to face in the postseason. And speaking of starting slow and building up, but they came in the second year in the league, as I mentioned with Corey, 2014-15. So they are 7 out of 8, not 8 out of 8 like the Rangers and the Little Flyers. So they're almost a part of that original 6 crew. But obviously over 50 commits for them and a lot of great players over the years. And yes, I've called a majority of their games, so I've got to see it firsthand. Who wants to start this? Because there are so many different names that I want to start with, but Brittany kind of teased it last week with the one forward that she said she wanted to hype more than anybody else.
Obviously, do you really not know who it is?
Well, I
think we both do.
Well, here's the issue: is like
I don't know.
There's two.
I literally mentioned this in the group chat literally yesterday.
There's 2 people. I know we have Dylan.
That's who I was gonna go. That was my person.
I think he was on all of our lists.
But like, there was a small part of me that was like, is she talking about Chance Gorman this entire time?
Okay,
or is she talking about Dylan?
Fact. No, Dylan is a literal king. He was the league rookie of the year in, I don't know, Neil.
2017-18.
Wait, so Britt, he was back when we called it the league rookie of the year, but now it's the Roy.
Yes.
Yeah,
for the legend at home.
Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, okay. So he won that. Great kid, fantastic kid, tore up the knoll. Is going to LIU next year to play D1. Great kid. Couldn't say enough great things about him.
Go Dolphins. Yeah. Good for him.
No, dude, it's a shark.
That'll be their second year.
It's literally a shark. It's literally not a dolphin, but like that's all right.
I thought they go by the no, man.
It's literally a shark.
All right, the Sharks, the Long Island University Sharks. You know what? They were supposed to come in and play Bentley this year. We had some COVID issues. The series got canceled, so I didn't get to see the Shark Dolphins.
Could you imagine?
Hopefully next year we get to see the Shark Dolphins.
Could you imagine?
You could see Dylan next year as a Shark Dolphin.
Here we go. Woo!
Jeff, I will pay you $500 if at a Bentley game next year you welcome the LIU Dolphins to the ice. Ooh, that would be incredible. That would be incredible. And we could say that
we'll talk off.
It was premeditated on the E Show podcast. Everyone at Bentley would be like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah, Soderquist will look at me and go, "Jeff, what?" He would shrug his shoulders, be like, "Huh?"
So obviously, Dylan was part of that 2017-18 season in 52 total games, put up 68 points, was the rookie of the year that year, but
that was 3 seasons ago, folks, and
he
was
a 4
I can't count, and he was a 2000, so he was like an infant compared to the kids on this team.
Well, and
he was still in his diapers.
That's such a great point because his line mate was Devin Panzika.
Devin Panzika.
Who
Man,
put up
Also probably should be on this list too.
Yeah, because I'm
yes.
pretty sure he's still an all-time record holder.
Yes.
So,
So
yeah,
obviously we touched on Panzika with Alex Ochterbeck last week. During that season, he scored 43 total goals, which tied him with Ochterbeck. He of course
was the McGuire-Sosa year of the EHL.
So seriously though, right?
Yep.
So he obviously won the MVP award that season, and Dylan won the Rookie of the Year award. And what makes it so funny?
You just said Chance won Rookie of the Year.
Oh, no, sorry, Dylan. Well, I had Chance's name. We're gonna add Chance in there in a second.
He's gonna go back.
But I knew the first two forwards we had to touch on were Dylan and Devin because they were a part of that 2017-18 season that was so special, but they got knocked out by the eventual champion Avalanche. And they actually gave the Avalanche a harder time than people remember because they almost won game one of that series. They actually hit the crossbar with about a minute left of that was a second round series. Avalanche went on to win that game in overtime and then quote unquote swept the series. And I know we touched on that on the podcast, like two games to none. Like it's not a sweep to me. It's just you won the series, but that was obviously a great Wizards team. But what made it so unique is that the next year, Freddie from the very beginning said the 2018-19 team was better. And I was like, dude, you had the Rookie of the Year and the MVP last year. How is your team better this season? And then he proved me wrong and went to the Frozen Finals and their one appearance in the Frozen Finals, which is the year they won. We had 4 divisions, and I think theirs was called New England South that year.
Yeah.
And that was a great Wizards team. I'm sure we'll get to a few forwards from that one. But obviously we have 2 so far. I will now bring in the third name, which is part of why I got confused because Brittany always talks about Dylan, but also always talks about Chance.
Yeah,
and
I'm the biggest Chancey Rue Gorman fan on planet Earth.
She will fight any of you that think you're a bigger Chancey fan.
Chance had 66 points in 4. I got to pull up playoffs. Hold, please.
Wow, 45 games. Big power play guy, too, Chance.
Dude, Chance is actually tearing it up at Elmira. He was on the all-tournament team as a freshman. Get up.
So is he with Mitchell Haight?
He is with Mitchie.
It's a couple of the Rangers.
They're roommates.
Nice. Look at that. West season Rangers becoming friends in college. We love it.
What's that?
Well, they also played on the All-Star team together last year. Fun fact.
Correct. When some people had to take their scheduled naps. Listen to a prior episode to hear about that.
When's
my scheduled nap, Neil?
I don't even know what the line is, but Brittany always is like, and they were roommates. So I was like, okay, like great, like they were roommates.
Because it's a Vine. Vine is dead, but like there is a Vine that goes, and it's this girl like walking down the street, and this guy has his phone out, and she goes, and they were roommates, and the guy looks at the camera and goes, and they were roommates. I'll have to get it up for you later after we end this. But
send that right to the eCrew text message.
Literally.
So Chance Gorman obviously was a big part of the 2019-20 team, where he put up 68 points in 49 games. Jeff, you called out in there all the power play points. 29 of those were power play points. And part of what we're doing...
game winners, too.
Yeah, a couple game winners, of course. And part of what we're doing... Not a big
shorties, too. Look at the shorties.
Yeah.
He did it all.
He had 3 shorthanded points. And
boom.
The first 2 weeks we had, in the bottom right corner of the graphics, we had a coach's label. We're going to pull away from that because there's been so many good coaches. And we're going to fill that spot in with almost a utility, whatever we want to get to at that spot. I think it's fitting that we start with this team because there is a player that played forward and D. And I think we just put him there because he was, if you ask him what position he is,
Darby, right?
I think
Harley.
I think he's a forward.
When did Andrew Harley play D? Please, LMK.
In the playoffs.
Don't recall that.
Interesting time to go.
They put him on D in the playoffs because they were like injuries or something else, and he can play. Like it says it right there, forward and D.
Don't recall.
Look at that.
Maybe it was.
I was there, so I have to say, like I saw it happen. But he was like, honestly, like if we had a most improved player award also, like that was him. Like he went from a season where he put up 18 points in 46 games. Maybe there was some more D in there to literally going all the way up to 60 points the next year.
Wow.
63.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh, good. 63. So that's literally times like 4, basically.
So he added some skill, also added some snarl, doubled the penalty minutes, it looks like.
Yeah, double the booms.
So I'm going to make this last one say F/D and put Harley. There.
I like it.
Okay.
I think it fits well for there.
All in favor,
Yes.
say aye. Aye.
I.
All right. Neil?
So another name, though, that Jeff... sorry. I think
There we go.
that
Proper voting. 3 votes to none.
Another name that Jeff just said a second ago there was also a part of that 2019-20 team, and they were aligned together at times, I want to say.
Who, Chance, Darby, and Harley?
Yes. When he was
playing. Like similar names, too.
Maybe.
When
2 of them actually played prep school together at Choate, because I just know everything about prep school. Big prep school girl.
Wait, they did?
Yeah, it was Darby, Anish, Dina, and Gorman all went to Choate.
Anish, Dina.
I did not know that.
Oh my God, you're so fake. Like, who's the bigger Wizards fan, for Christ's sake?
Oh
my God.
Literally, they all went to Choate together. Come on.
Brittany is always the first one of all of us to say, Wizzy Wednesday, get up, everybody.
Oh my God, I miss Wizzy Wednesdays at the Edge.
Wizzy Wednesday at the Edge. If you haven't been to the Edge, check it out. Great rink.
So
especially on a Wednesday.
Always. Wizzy Wednesday. It's the best.
We've named 4 forwards and obviously the F/D so far.
So we're going to continue on with the forwards?
Yeah, because we haven't named the all-time Wizard yet.
Luke Pepin.
No.
He's on my list. Wait, how about Trent Pitzer?
No, Glenn Wiswell.
Oh, wait, you're talking about this kid we were just talking about.
Damn it.
130 games played, 101 points. He was there like through the tough times, though, too,
3 years.
Right? Like, and he was there the 2014, 15, 15, 16, and then saw them get into the playoffs for the first time and like make a little bit of noise in the playoffs. And he was fun to be around. He scored still a goal in the 2016-17 season that it was kind of before the broadcaster time. I would have gone nuts. I'll never forget this goal. Like, he absolutely undressed this defenseman, like put it through the legs and like back through the legs and then one more time through the legs and then like sniped it. And I was like, ew. Like, what just happened?
Gross. Good yuck. Good yuck.
Oh my God, is that good? That was the Wizard saying last year, heavy. Like, that was everyone. Oh God, that was the Wizard saying last year. Is that good?
Yeah. So
we were just talking about it. Me and Neil were right before we got on too, and I'm like, Pitzer, Pepin? No, the one we just talked about. There was a 3-year.
Luke Pepin is exited.
Well, huh?
Oh.
Luke Pepin and I don't know.
AOL, the door just shut?
No, what's funny, Jeff, is like we brought up story time a couple times last week, right? And
love story time.
We're gonna have story time again this week, right? Because there's a few things that have happened in Wizards history that we're gonna have to touch on. And that was actually a story. This is where it gets like scary at times, Jeff. It's like Brittany reads my mind. That was a story that I'm going to bring up when we get to the D, because it is hysterical.
Oh yeah, Luke Pepin was a D. What the heck?
Yes. But to keep going
a long time,
we'll get there.
To keep going with the forwards, because we're on the Wizards hype train right now. We've only got 5 guys so far.
We just rattled off like 3 or 4 more.
Well, we're gonna rattle off right now. Andrew Steffera, who was a 2-year forward.
So nice.
So nice. I mean, he was a 2-year forward who put up a bunch of
points. He's just a great kid.
I really wish I kept Steph for my stretch run of the.
And you had him on Brits commits this year.
I did have him on Brits commits. Get up, Castleton.
Brought to you by Elite Prospects.
Right.
I know Jeff said this name earlier. Trent Pitzer. Yep. He was awesome in this league.
We know why I love Trent Pitzer.
Please tell.
Because he goes to Wentworth.
Yes, he goes to Wentworth. He had a mean mustache, whatever year it was. Also,
yeah, he did. I might. Jeff, have you seen it?
I don't think so.
Well, let me go.
Unless we've said it prior.
She'll pull it up for you.
He's got to be a smart kid too. He's an engineer. He goes to Wentworth.
Yeah, well, seriously.
Hit the books.
A name that you guys may not know as well as maybe I do is Cameron Stewart.
He was on my list, but I don't know who he is.
Yeah, that's a name I don't remember.
He scored a lot of big goals for the team that season.
Oh,
back
wow.
in
Look at that thing. He looks like Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean with the in like Raleigh fingers with a little curl. He's got a little Well, actually, the one I was gonna say we probably can't say on the air, but the little middle patch thing under the lip.
Seriously though. But back to Cam Stewart, scored a lot of big goals that season, including a game winner for them against the Valley Junior Warriors, which was a series they won to advance in the 2016-17 playoffs. For the first time, we're going to have a forward who actually finished his career on a different team.
Ooh.
CJ Grinnell spent the better part of 2 seasons with the Wizards.
Did somebody tell me if he's related to like Mikey Grinnell or like no?
He is.
Oh my god, dude! It's like
another guy on those beginning Wizards teams.
I forget what the relation is, but I know they are related. And CJ played 2014-15 and the better part of 2015-16. Yep. And was actually the first player that I saw get traded. It was my first year, 2015-16. He was the first player I saw get traded, and I was like, whoa, trades happen in juniors.
Where'd he go?
He went to the New Hampshire Monarchs and literally helped them win a title. He was a huge reason why. And I was like, oh, I get why that trade happened now, because it was a team that wasn't going to make the playoffs to a team that did. And he played a huge role in that. I'm trying to get to his stats right now. Oh, they're all
there. It is. It was right there.
They're all combined together. I wanted to see what he did. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
I mean, the Monarchs numbers.
He was a point per game player.
Yeah, it doesn't split off into the playoffs, but he was huge for them in that postseason run. And that leaves 3 forwards left.
Oh, let me dig up my list.
I have somebody who I would love to be on the list, but I don't know if he should be on the list.
Oh,
okay.
Ouch.
Oh, I didn't mean it in a mean way. I'm just saying he's not Dylan, teasing. And he's not trans. Carter Elrod, great human.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. He played a lot of big minutes for this team and won a lot of big face-offs and spent 2 seasons, right? I think it was 2 seasons.
Yeah, yes, because because he was in Providence when they were in Providence. I know he was 100%.
Yes. Yeah. 2 seasons, 2018-19 and then 2019-20. Advanced on to play at
Johnson and Wales.
Jay Woo. So that's a good one. That leaves a couple more left.
Wait, who was I just gonna think of? Wait, your best friend on planet Earth. No, he's not gonna on the list.
All right, so sorry, Noah. Thank you for
no, he's not. He doesn't make it. Neil's best friend, Mike Lockatelli.
Oh, Lockatelli was fun.
Lockatelli.
I want to go there, but there was a cold streak in that season where he legit could not score a goal. And he was so frustrated. He would try and do all these voodoo tricks on his stick, and it just was not working.
Actually, no, I can't give advice because I never played a lick of hockey. I was gonna say, but usually when in times of spurts like that, just keep it simple. Get pucks on the net. Stand in front of the crease. Get some greasy goals. Don't be trying to the behind.
You know who I think could make this list next year?
Who is that?
Ryan Turris?
If they can, no, he's going to college.
Oh, he's going away.
Cole Scott.
Yeah, Cole Scott's been
he
good.
did great from last year to this year, and then if he comes back again, I'm sure he will do even better.
So I wanted to get your thoughts on in the 2015-16 season, CJ Grinnell went to the Monarchs. In the 2016-17 season, Brendan Lloyd went from the Monarchs to the Wizards. I have never seen a player get to a new organization and light it up as fast as this kid did.
Look at this.
He said 2 goals a game.
Multi-points game, yeah.
He literally, in 10 regular season games, look at this. Goal, no goals, 2. Every game he did something. He put up 14 and 10.
Only one game he had no points. And then
pulled off a little bit in the playoffs, but ultimately got committed because of this.
That's a run.
To Wentworth.
I didn't know that.
That's going to push Brittany to say yes to him as well.
It should, yes.
Faux show.
So
I vote sure. I don't know you, but put him on.
And while we're here, we have to have a quick story time.
On who?
We're on the 2016-17 season.
Ooh, let's pull up the roster.
Which was the year that the Wizards started to kind of come out of that 2014, 15, 16, like to being like, we're a team to be reckoned with. And they got, I think they would even admit they got owned by the Warriors for the majority of that season. The Warriors that year were hard and physical. And
I remember that team because they beat Walpole like 9 billion times.
They beat up Walpole too. And Wizards found a way to win that series in 3 games. And then we go to Philly. It was actually the first of 4 straight weekends for myself in Philly. Of course, we know that the finals that year were Little Flyers versus Junior Flyers, which is why I was in Philly a little bit extra. But that 2016-17 first trip down there was Wizards versus Junior Flyers. It was a 2-7 matchup. Playoffs were a little bit different at that time. And of course, Freddie was the head coach. And Freddie,
oh my God,
Freddie played in the NHL, as everyone probably knows. Freddie is of all the coaches that we've had in this league, he probably played the most games ever in the NHL. And we get down to ice line, and all of a sudden we run into Danny Briere.
Is that good?
Who was Freddie's teammate with the Philadelphia Flyers, but he's in the building because his son is playing for the Junior Flyers 18U AAA team.
I hated Danny Briere, but continue.
So Freddie was the biggest jokester like ever. Like he could spin anything and you would believe exactly what he said. And he somehow convinces one of his players that when Danny Briere got to the Flyers, he was already there. Freddie was already there wearing whatever Briere's number was, 48. I think 48. It was 48. And he convinced the Wizards player that Briere paid him like $500,000 for the number.
Oh
what?
My God.
So he convinced his Blaine Green to go.
Oh my God, Blaine Green! Jesus Christ! Oh my God!
He convinced his Blaine Green to go up to Briere at Iceline and ask him the question point blank.
Up.
I was in tears because Blaine comes back and goes, "You didn't pay you for the number. You just gave it to him."
Oh my God. And I've heard nothing bad about Danny Briere. I just hated him because he was a Philadelphia Flyer who the Bruins hated. And he was a Montreal Canadian at the end of his career too.
Yes.
Which you always hate the
Blaine
Danny Briere is a nice guy, so I bet he's got that funny like high-pitched French accent, so he's probably like, what? I didn't offer money to a Freddie Meyer. What? Like,
but Freddie was like waiting off to the side.
God.
Oh my God, we were in absolute tears.
That might take the cake for best story time we've had yet. That might be hard to top.
I need to drive you guys by the hotel that we stayed at because it was definitely not the same hotel that we stayed at this year for the finals. Like there was one night like where they had this karaoke going in one of the restaurants, and Freddie grabbed me as like we're going in. I'm like, no, we're not. He goes, no, yes, we are. I was like, oh my God,
little Econo Lodge style with the little.
It was. But that year the Wizards beat the Junior Flyers and snapped like a 19-game winning streak, and I was like, this team is starting to come around. The next year, obviously, they had Panzika and Chouette. The next year, they went to the Frozen Finals. 2019-20, we obviously didn't get to see what would have happened. The series with the Rangers, I think we probably still would have all picked the Rangers, but of course the Wizards all felt confident in themselves going into that series. But regardless,
they were one of those teams
after they were all pissed off at me because I said they were gonna lose against the Seahawks, and then they won against the Seahawks, and Jack scored that sick goal. Yep.
Britt leading the way with the bulletin board material, just trying to
Jesus Christ
quotes on the board. That's what Britt said last week. All right, guys, let's go light it up. So hey, that was good. At least Freddie, I'm glad that Freddie got to the Frozen Finals, right? Because like you said, he's one of the better coaches we've had in this league. Has probably the longest NHL pedigree of any of these coaches, and glad that they got there. And I don't know, who knows? I mean, I know.
Oh my God,
this kid! DiCaprio would have said there's no way they would have beat us, but the Wizards always played big and late in the year, so you never know. They could have made it interesting, but we'll never know, sadly.
Dude, James
there's another one. He was on my lap. He was on my list
for the Final Four. And then we go James Nash, just a single season with the Wizards. But put up 39 points in that year, including 6-game winners. And that gives us.
I hope Sean Walsh is laughing.
Yes. 12 forwards plus a 13th as I mentioned, Andrew Harley.
13th Harley.
Yes. Defenseman.
13th, whatever.
Do we want to
Obviously, I'm starting with Jack Johansson.
Well, we have to start with this year's Defenseman of the Year and Jack Johansson, who ended up, fortunately for all of us, playing 2 seasons. Obviously, an unfortunate situation as to why, because everything that took place this year, but got to come back and have a second year with the Wizards, wear the C, and honestly, maybe the best defenseman they've ever had in program history.
Without a doubt.
So I think we lead off with him, and then we get to the next story time.
Multi-story time on this week's episode.
We already story time about Jack.
Or this is the third story.
No, this is the next story time is about.
Oh my God, Luke Pepin.
So I always joke, Jeff, like the players are crazy on social media. Like I got engaged and got 300 likes. These kids post about their commitments and they get 600 likes. And it's like, Luke, you posted about your commitment to Salem State and you wrote that you were exited and you forgot the C, which we all make spelling mistakes. But Brittany and I were laughing about it for hours on end because I was like, 200 likes, 300 likes, 400 likes. How has nobody commented that it's missing a C in the post?
I'm exiting.
And that's why Luke Pepin did not go to a NESCAC.
But it was so funny
because they're a tough guy,
and then
oh God.
And then eventually he edited it and it fixed it. But I was like, that's why every now and then, Jeff, when you hear Brittany and I talk about how exited we are, that's where it comes from. Because
there we go.
We watched that post for hours and we're like, someone's got to tell this kid, hey,
exited.
You want to fix this?
So the word he was looking for was
excited.
Yes.
Excited. Okay, that's what.
But he was awesome in this league, man. He was never afraid to join the rush. I know the points don't totally show that, I guess you could say. I think he had a huge game in one of the Frozen Finals games. I want to say he had a 4-point game against Wilkes-Barre or something in there. I guess the points do show it. 53 and 69 career games. He was just fun. We always talk about how you could hear everything when you're calling games there. He was loud enough that you could hear everything when you're calling a game when he was on the ice. So that's 2D so far in Pepin and Johansson.
Good start.
What other guys did you have?
Gags.
What?
Gagnon?
Gags.
Yes. I'm blanking on what year that was.
That was last year and the year before that.
And that smart tone of hers.
Gabrielle.
Duh.
Yes.
Last year, Niall. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll go with him.
Why do I love him?
Gabrielle Gagnon.
Where did he play prep school?
Because his name is epic.
Because he went to Tilton
and played.
He's a Tilton. He's a Ram. Go Rams.
And he was just, points wise wasn't really stand up, but just solid,
sturdy,
just solid.
He was
steady.
Jack's D partner last year.
Yes, I remember they got broken up as D partners once, and Jack posted about how he went emo about it. I'm like, dude,
he was not exited about it.
Another multi-year guy that Jack's played with too. He wasn't exited about it. Papa Petros, right? He's a big points guy for them.
I
Papa
think
also leads their team in
ever.
assists
He was close to 100 career assists.
He broke the record this season for all-time assists in Wizards history.
Yeah, he has to go on there. Him and Johansson
we're down to 2 left. Sheesh.
They were both absolute Robbie.
He finished with 54 career assists, which far and away, well, not far and away. In terms of defensemen, he had at least 12 more than the next closest guy if you count Andrew Harley as a defenseman. I know we
don't know if we do.
He's the utility, like you said. I like that.
We've been all over that all episode. Another name, a name that I have to throw up there that you guys may not know as well.
Oh, is it the Wayback Machine? Are we going to
I'm really on this 2016-17 team. I'm just really on it. But Matt Capucci was probably, I use the word tough a lot so far in these Team of the Week features. This kid cut his face open in the game. Literally still has a scar under his eye from his face shield hit the wall and kicked up. And he's bleeding pretty bad in a game, and like stays in the game and like scored a big goal, and I was like, that is hockey right there. That is hockey in a nutshell right there. Like
it was
that
like
guy,
Jared Tenorti from the Bruins yesterday.
Yes.
Same kind of thing. The shield hits your face, and then you just start leaking blood everywhere.
like he did
Ew.
refuse to come out, and he was so solid. He was just so solid for that team that I have to include him. And that brings us down. That brings us down to one left.
Ooh.
Oh God. Is this like a throwback person? Like, I don't know the throwbacks.
I mean, Britt mentioned Anish Dina earlier. That could be a possibility, but let's go
What about Birmingham?
Well, if we want to talk
Birmingham?
D partners, Mike Birmingham was partnered with Luke Pepin, and like when they went back and forth on the bench, I had to turn the mic down because they would like it was like a loving brother, but like it was so entertaining.
Explicit.
It was so entertaining. They would just go back and forth, and I think that's an awesome unit because Birmingham was like, he was just fun to watch and like fun to be around, and like I'm not gonna go through every story, but like there was one time when like
sounds like we can't go on most of them.
Freddie was like Mike, why do you like chicken nuggets so much? And Mike was like, who doesn't? Like, it was like, it's on the bench, right? Like you could hear this whole thing. Like Freddie, of course, like had like the best chirps of like all time. Like there was this one game where this kid like said to Freddie on another team, like, coach, you never shut up. Like who the hell are you? And Freddie's like, Google my name, look up my NHL stats, and then try and even carry my bag. And I was like,
right? Oh,
I was like, what did he just say? Like,
see, that's why I love Freddie, because he did. He had the pedigree. Went to BU, was huge at BU, played for the Islanders, played for the Atlanta Thrashers. I mean, if you play for the Atlanta Thrashers, you're epic. Atlanta's had a team twice. They've both gone extinct.
And I was thinking about this, Jeff. I don't think there's any broadcast vantage point where you're as close as you are at the Wizards where you could hear all this stuff.
No,
like
because you're right next. You're on top of the bench.
Like Waterville Valley was close this year, but obviously that's not their normal spot.
Yeah.
Spot at the Bic.
Yeah, but like that's still the same as like the Lumberjacks. You still can't hear like as much as you hear at the Wizards. Like there's
the
like,
height.
The Bic, you have the glass there, and you're still a little bit away. Like, you can reach down and like touch the backup goalie's top of his head where you're standing, and like. There's been some games where I'm like, everything these kids are saying is going out on hockey TV. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I'm sure you can go back and you can hear the game when the Wizards beat the Railers in game 2 of the playoffs this year. And Jack scored 2 goals in that game, Jack Johansson. And he does the drive-by down the bench and celebrates. And then he yells up, Neil, nice pick. Because obviously I picked the Railers to win that series. I'm like, that totally went through the air. Like, that totally went out on hockey TV.
That's amazing.
And so it makes it fun, right? Like I always have enjoyed calling games there. And we're down to goalies, guys.
Ooh. And I already have one, and I hope we all agree that it's kind of funny.
I think it's this
player. Lutz, as Chris Sorella would say.
Lutzy.
Lutz was obviously a multi-year goaltender for this team. I say that with a question mark because I think he was.
I think so. He was more recent. So he was on the Frozen Finals.
Yeah, he was
on the Frozen Finals.
Didn't he go to Nichols, or am I on crack?
He went to Nichols. He did go to Nichols.
Right,
and
no crack for Britt. He did go to Nichols.
Word, love that for myself.
Am I blanking on?
Dude, scroll it. His name was right there.
Okay. There's a lot of tabs open. There's a lot of tabs open.
Okay.
Lots of tabs.
But he was fun in this league. He won 35 games. He was just steady between the pipes for the Wizards. 8 shutouts in 2 years. That's legit. And obviously he helped carry that team to the Frozen Finals. So that's one. To me, based off what I've seen in obviously my time being close to the team, but then obviously the 7 years they've been here, the second one was actually part of the 2019-20 season, in my opinion. And I know, I know some of the numbers don't totally say this for Dylan Weimer. I know his record was basically 500, 10 and 12, but he had a 266 and a 917. That kid was so good for that team. Or 13 and 13 when you included postseason.
Postseason, under a goal and a half, and your save percentage is almost 960. That is unbelievable.
Yeah,
he came in late too. Not late. He didn't come in like super late, but he did come in. He did start the year with them. Came in, And
Did you
here
know
he
he was
was.
from Greece? I did not know that.
What?
Well, no,
Greece, New York.
Oh. I'm going to sign off.
Do you
Have a
know
good night, guys.
who I'm pretty sure the dad played in the NHL. The dad definitely played in the NHL.
I'm going to go
Jeff, I'm sorry.
Long Island Dolphins hockey.
Long Island's Dolphins hockey in Greece.
It just said hometown. It didn't say home state. But yes, he's from Greece, New York. Ended up at Brockport, I believe.
He did.
A SUNY kid.
God.
But he came in later on, joined the team in October, and as that season progressed, he became like the guy in net. Like just in January, he won 3 or 4 games, another 4 or so games in February. Of course, they beat the Wolves in play-in round, a 2-1 game up there. I think that was when we had fantasy. That was the first time we had fantasy.
Yeah, very
yes.
I think so.
I think it was Dylan Weimer versus Oliver Quinn, if I remember correctly, in that playoff game. And
the dad played 5, 6, 7, 8, like 900 AHL and NH like / NHL games when you combine them. He played 325 games in the NHL.
What was his dad's first name?
Jim.
Yes,
Jim Weimer.
I remember this now because he came to a lot of games too. But he was as solid as any goalie the Wizards have had, and I think he was part of the reason why that 2019-20 team felt like, as we say on the podcast every now and then, like if you get a hot goalie in the playoffs, it doesn't matter how good the other team is. Now the Rangers regular season champion team 2019-20, like that was a tough opponent that they were about to face, but I think that would have been a good series. It would have been an interesting series.
Would have been pushed to 3.
I think it would have.
I don't think it would have been a sweep. I'm really signing off. Bye, guys. This is an early podcast. What the heck is going on? It's been a long day. Woof.
But hey, you know what? I don't know if I guess on paper we can give a little bit of an edge to the Little Flyers and the Rangers.
Sports Center.
A little bit of an edge.
They're just built differently, but like the Wizards have always been. We talked about this before we jumped on, Neil. They've always been a sandpapery, tough, grinding type team. Yeah, they're built differently. They're not gonna have the Nathan Youngs of the world, if you would, or
they had
Alec
the chance
Osterbecks.
Well,
they did, but but if you look at their history, Panzika and Chouette, they were like their leading point getters. Look at some of the other years. Leading point getters had 30 points, 20 something points.
And to Jeff's point, like the Chouette Panzika year wasn't the year they went to the finals. It wasn't that year. They went the next year when they had some high scoring players, but not on the same level.
They always did better when they had the depth, like the grinding type depth, not the high end skill depth like the
Rangers. Who was that big human? Oh, Herman Lundback. That's who I'm thinking of. He was a big hoss.
But
Herman Lundback?
Just to wrap up that comparison is
foreign.
Panzika puts up almost 100 points. And they don't make the Frozen Finals. The next year, their leading point getter is 46 points. It's literally half.
Right. Yep.
But they were just a deeper team.
Look how many kids had 20 plus points on that. Look at that.
Look how many different players had game.
Oh my God,
goals.
Tim Useless.
I remember him. He was great. Useless.
Yeah. Do you want to
great name?
Do you want to help wrap us up with one of the toughest pronunciations of all time?
Xander Mavrogiannis.
Mavrogiannis. Because I talked to his mom and dad. They were great people. Yes. And they actually said when we were at the Frozen Finals, they were like Mavro, and then his dad was like jaw, and then like your knee. And I was like, oh, Mavrogiannis. Okay. And that was Xander's a great kid. His parents are great. We were happy to have him in the EHL. He's another good 3rd, 4th line type kid.
So to recap this all-time Wizards lineup, the forward unit is Dylan Chouette, Devin Panzika, Chance Gorman, Brendan Darby, Glenn Wiswell, Andrew Steffera, Trent Pitzer, Cameron Stewart, CJ Grinnell, Carter Elrod, Brendan Lloyd, and James Nash. A little bit longer names now for the D. You have Jack Johansson, Luke Pepin, Gabriel Gagnon, Zachary Papapetros, Matt Capucci, and Mike Birmingham. In goal, Corbinian Lutz and Dylan Weimer. And then our forward/D, wherever he fits in the lineup that day, which he would play whatever he wanted to play, Andrew Harley. So that's our Wizards lineup. And again, thank you to Corey Felide for coming on the podcast this week. That's 3 teams done so far. we've kind of gone north, south, north. Are we going back to the south next week? Or do we want to stick up north?
Do it. I like this.
No. Dude, you know what I think we should do? And the kids have been commenting? Rev. Let's do throwback. Rev.
Oh, let's do a team that's no longer around.
Come on, Rogues would come on it, and it would be so funny.
Let me think about that.
Well, we've already done a Philly
if we don't do them, if we do not do them.
But to Brittany's point, we've done 2 of these so far. And like within minutes, a Revolution alumni is like, "Where's the all-time Revolution lineup?"
Tino Aluni did it. That's who I noticed the other day.
Aluni.
And then
I interviewed him.
Great kid.
Strum did it the week before, and it's like, guys, like, we're a week in.
If we don't do the Rev, and we're doing somebody from me not knowing who's in the South, let's do
Hosses.
No,
I think we go there.
Let's do. Okay, we'll go giddy up horses. We'll go to Horseland.
And I think
Brittany's like, no.
I think I have to convince Stephen Brown that it's his time to come on.
Brownie, yes.
Oh, that would be nice. All right, so we'll put the Rev in the vault.
Yes, we'll get to that because I do want to do. I think there is a lineup out there between Revolution and maybe you mix in a little bit of Junior Flyers in there too, because you can just name off Caden Primo and Chase.
Tino.
What? And Tino and Chase Primo and Mac Vale and Barry Needler. So maybe we'll do some combination Philly defunct teams
like a 6
later in the summer. I think that would be fun because
that'd be chill.
And maybe Elo comes back.
Noah Bradley.
Yes.
Oh, but Jerry Domish, Jerry's World. I'm just saying. I don't know if we can get Jerry. He's in high demand, but he would be an epic interview.
Yes. Oh God, epic interview. Epic.
And with Joe Sedona, he could help us out.
You want to talk about stories, Jeff? Let me hit the end record button here in a second.
With Jerry, yeah, I'm not sure.
So we're gonna work on the Rough Riders for next week, which is actually funny how it works out. We go back to an original 6 team, so we're gonna have 8 more years of lineups to look at and break things down to come up with the all-time roster for the Connecticut Rough Riders. So thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you next. Well, yes, /Oilers. They changed their
Connecticut
name.
Oilers. That's right.
We'll talk to you guys next week.
Sounds good. See you, gang.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.